Good morning. I wanted to use this platform as an opportunity to share the drashos, the sermons that I have been giving in synagogue on Shabbos morning. So there's an interesting idea about this past week's parsha. I'll probably be a week behind usually, but for this past week's parsha, towards the beginning of the parsha, we see that there are many blessings that the Jewish people will be blessed with if only they do what they're supposed to do. The Torah tells us "V'nasati shalom ba'aretz," that Hashem will grant peace in the land, and we're not going to be bothered by people. And then the Torah says, God promises us that there will not be wild beasts in the land, nor will sword pass through your land. And then the next verse says that the Jewish people will be able to chase their enemies, will fall before them, and God will look upon us with favor, will make us fruitful and multiply, and he will maintain his covenant with us. This is the blessings that God promises us if we do what we're supposed to do. Rashi comments and he says something very interesting. And he says, lest you think that if a person or a country is blessed with prosperity, is blessed with food, with drink, that might all be well. But Rashi says, im ein shalom, ein klum. If there's no peace, there's nothing. And from here, Rashi says, Mikan shalom shakul keneged hakol. From here, you see that peace equals everything else. And Rav Moshe Feinstein comments that Rashi clearly indicates that when the Torah says God will give us peace and then all these blessings will happen, that kind of peace clearly is not referring to an external peace. It's not referring to peace with our outside neighbors. Because when we're at war with our outside enemies, we don't typically have an abundance of food and drink. There are shortages of these things. And therefore, he says that the blessing refers specifically to when there will be peace amongst the civilians of the land specifically. And Rashi seems to be saying that when there's no peace between fellow Jews, even if there's an abundance of food and drink and material wealth, prosperity, it's literally all worthless. Rav Moshe comments that Rashi seems to be saying that the harm caused by division and machloikis and infighting, is worse than a lack of food and drink. Because in Rav Moshe's words, Ruach HaTorah, the Kiyum HaMitzvos, the Midos Tovos, Miskalkalin Mizeh, Shemimsa Sheikar Hachai Mizbatlin. That when there's fighting and discord, the very spirit of the Torah and the fulfillment of mitzvahs and good character traits is all tainted from this. And the essence of life is nullified. The Ramban comments on this explicitly, and he says that when it refers to God, when there would be peace in the land and then all these blessings happen, the Ramban says that she's shalom b'nechem, that there should be peace between you, lo tilchamu ish ba'achiv, and brother should not fight with each other. So if we now reread the psukim, we reread these verses, it emerges that when we have peace amongst each other, internal peace, then, quote, outside enemies won't cross our land. We will pursue our enemies who will fall before us. Hashem will turn his attention to us, make us fruitful, and fulfill his covenant with us. But if we don't do this, it would appear the opposite would, God forbid, happen to us. And the pasuk toward the end of this indicates that if we don't do all these things, Af ani aseh zos lachem, I will in turn do the bad things to you. So it would be vital that we maintain this internal peace with one another. And I think that this is an incredibly timely message for right now. As we know, there's hundreds of thousands of Israelis who rallied every week in favor or in opposition of judicial reform this past summer. People were genuinely concerned that there was risk of violence, that the country was crumbling from within. We saw specifically at this point of infighting and division that that's specifically when we're the most vulnerable. Now, after October 7th, we saw the country and our people unite in ways that I've never seen in my life. And this gives us great hope. But inevitably, this inspiration and this unity wears off. and we revert to our old destructive habits once again. We think that, this person voted for someone I don't like, and I can't respect them because of that. Or we say that this person looked at me funny, or didn't invite me to their kid's wedding. Can't be friends with them. There's all kinds of reasons we drum up to hold grudges with people and to have machlokes, to have fights with people. Comes this parsha of this past week, Parshas Bechukosai, and reminds us that we must resist the natural tendency, that we must resist this natural tendency with every fiber of our being. As Rashi tells us, if we don't have peace, we don't have anything. 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva died because they didn't treat each other with the proper respect. Our second temple was destroyed because of sinas chinam, baseless hatred. We see one clear pattern throughout our history, and that is infighting leads, God forbid, toward destruction and demise. Today, let us take upon ourselves to be quick to forgive someone when they offend us. When we don't get an invitation or a thank you letter, let's commit to de-escalate a situation before they can get out of hand. If we do have a long-standing feud with someone, let's try to summon the inner strength and courage to approach them and seek reconciliation with them. The stakes are simply too high to not be proactive about this. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avos enjoins us to be like students of Aaron. We shouldn't just love peace, but we must pursue peace as well. As a merit for this, the brachos of this parsha should come true before our eyes as we quote, "Our army will chase down our enemies. The Almighty will make us be fruitful and multiply, and He will maintain His eternal covenant with us." Have a beautiful day and a great week ahead.